I want you to find GoldenEye.
3,
Find who took it,
2,
what they plan to do with it,
1.
and stop it.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 4 of GoldenEye's 30th anniversary, and today I actually got myself a martini, which of course is stirred and never shaken. A good barista like me knows that. Yannick, how are you today?
I'm very good. I'm looking forward to talking about our favorite subject one more time. And how are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. More babbling. How could I not be fine?
Yeah,
more enjoyment. I mean, GoldenEye is a great topic to talk about. And when I'm just pouring this martini, I had a look into GoldenEye again. You remember that scene in the casino when he orders a martini and she orders something to drink, but they never get it.
Yeah.
Did you realize they never get it? They never actually drink.
Yeah.
It's so weird. But it took me, 30 years to remember that.
Yeah. And what is weird is the translation, because in English she orders it straight up with a twist.
Yeah.
And in German she orders it with a piece of plum.
Yes.
Or
Weird.
a plum. What's the translation there?
But what a feast that would have been for the first Bond film of Pierce Brosnan to have his signature drink move, the way he holds his glass. And
Yes.
we know from the other films, and I did not perfect it, but it's so odd because nobody can hold a glass like that. It's sort of like...
Yeah, it's exactly, yeah.
You might wonder why this is red. Well, it's the blood of my enemies. That's the reason. It's my famous blood martini. Yeah, it's made with fruit ingredients, strawberry, or the other one. That's cool. That has berry in the end.
John Berry?
Good one. Yeah, good one. It's a John Barry martini. Yes. Where would we be without a little bit of fun?
There we go. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, of course.
So, we almost covered everything. We covered the plot of GoldenEye. We covered the music, of course, in the last episode, which was the longest yet. Let's see if we can break that record. We spoke about the cast and the characters. So what's missing? The episode is called Action Galore, so we will be speaking, of course, about the action sequences in GoldenEye, what our favorites are, what we like most, the stunt work, of course, Versaska Dam, the incredible bungee jump. But we will also speak about where all of this took place, the locations of GoldenEye. There are a few, and they're in contrast to each other, so it's very, very interesting. And, last but not least, we're going to talk a little bit about the making of the film in terms of miniatures and grand-scale explosions. So,
Great.
Let's dive right in. Yannick, the locations of GoldenEye. What do you find most striking? What's your favorite?
Yeah, well, it has to be, of course, because of the proximity, first of all, the locations in the intro, in the opening scene. Of course, in Versaska, Tavistock, that we've also covered in this series, Eiger Jungfrau, the backplate, and I would just have to say, of course, visually striking, you have to go with Arecibo, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Sad that it doesn't exist anymore.
I just wanted to say, it's really, that was a day really broke my heart to see this antenna dish collapse in itself. That was really sad, because you always had this kind of bucket list thing where you still could say, well, one day I could go there, despite the fact that it's quite complicated to get there actually. But it would have been possible. Now you could still go there, but of course you don't find much left. And which are your favorite locations?
I really love the Swiss locations, obviously. I mean, we've been there. We've been there this year. If you haven't seen the first episode, people, check that out. Episode 1, A New Era of this GoldenEye 30th series, where we visited Verstaska Dam, obviously, and Tellystock Mountain. I love locations with mountains. So mountains are my thing. I can't be in flatlands or whatever. I really love mountains. I love, when you look at the Bond franchise, I love everything that has to do with snow and skiing and winter locations. But this dam is so impressive. I mean, and we know when you drive up the road and you start seeing it after this tunnel, it just sparks something in you. And I would never go to, I will probably in my life will never visit Puerto Rico, but it would have been bucket list material.
Yeah, absolutely.
But otherwise I'm fine with Switzerland. But I also love what they of course did with St. Petersburg.
True.
We know in the tank chase later in the film, a lot was filmed on backlot, or at least in studios, but there were some actual real location shots. Some parts of it were filmed in St. Petersburg, which was a new thing because the Russians don't really like Western productions shooting films in Russia, at least not at that time, or they were suspicious of it. So it was something new. And I mean, again, we have to mention the setting of the film, the collapse of the Soviet Union, and they let people into St. Petersburg making a Bond film, and Bond films when the Iron Curtain was still up. I still know that in the GDR, when Germany was basically two countries, and in the eastern part they showed the Bond films to their soldiers to train them.
Okay.
Which was also a reason why this never worked. But of course not. But true story. The Bond films sort of acted as training videos for soldiers of the German Democratic Republic.
Okay.
Bullshit.
Wow.
I like that St. Petersburg is so well portrayed in the film because it shows that you don't just need generic backlots. I mean, you wouldn't recognize in the film. You don't know what is actually St. Petersburg and what is studio. But
sure, yeah.
What you see in the film is this grandeur of the city. I mean, there are famous landmarks in the film that you can see.
Yes.
And I later looked at pictures and thought, oh, wow. If you're there in person, that's why I always wanted to go to St. Petersburg. That's also a bucket list thing. And we spoke
absolutely.
about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And but I always thought there is a nice underlying theme of Russia looking for its new identity in that time when the film was made. So it's good to have that city in the film, but it's shot rather dark and gritty. But that's how the film is. That's due to the film. Yeah, definitely.
And of course it's good that you say, because where can you actually make the distinction between what has been shot on the backlot? We were talking about the tank chase, of course, and what was actually shot in St. Petersburg. I think not, because I remember a news story coverage, or one of the, I don't know, cast and crew who talked about this, that actually they must have been able to sell the impression or the idea that they have shot everything in St. Petersburg, because obviously, or at least according to one of the cast and crew who told this story, said that there were a lot of people of St. Petersburg complained or filed complaints in the city that how can this be possible that they can drive with tanks through St. Petersburg and destroy a beautiful city and so on. And they had to tell them, well, most of it was not actually shot in St. Petersburg. So they must have done a very good job recreating those sets in the backlots and make them believable and make them integrate nicely into the whole development of the scene.
Yeah, and imagine me as a 14-year-old boy who a couple of years before his 14th birthday thought when people get shot in films, they actually die.
Yeah, right.
So that would be a tremendous waste of actors. But you actually thought, wow, they drove through a statue in the middle of St. Petersburg. Great. I mean, I hope they rebuilt it, but these films cost a lot of money, so they make a lot of money as well, so probably they give it to the Russians. But not in a million years would you have thought as a 14-year-old boy that this was done in the studio. I was much too young for that. You learn that later, but you're amazed with every new picture that you see from the filming. And there are not many from the backlot Leavesden Studios from where they had the streets of St. Petersburg built. And if you find some pictures, they're very tiny. I would love to have more of them, but there is really only a handful. But that is something the Bond franchise has been known for, to do these grand sets and have the actors work in it. And I mean, the tank for me is also an actor in that scene.
Absolutely.
Significantly so. And I when I watch it now, I think I can make a distinction between what was filmed in the studio and what was filmed in St. Petersburg. For example, the camera angle I love most, I probably told you before, is when the tank is going forward and the police cars are going backward, and the camera is going in this weird movement towards the backwards driving police cars.
Right. It's amazing. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we see it here. It's a very short camera angle and a very short shot, but it's a grand one. I love that one because it has so much dynamic. And this is not often done. I have not seen this shot performed often.
It's almost It's almost like a thing, like a trick that they use. It's called, I think, I only know the German expression, but it's something like a vertigo camera movement. It's this trick where you let me just remember. You were zoomed in, and then you move the camera, I think, backwards, and you zoom out again or something like that, and this creates this weird warp effect. It was done back in the day, and it almost looks a little bit like that, and you described it very well, that it's just everything moves forward and backward at the same time, and it makes a very, very, and you're right, you don't see that often in cinema. That's true.
And it's almost like the camera wants us to go there. Like, look, there's something happening.
Running towards it.
Let's go there. It gives this whole scene, and it is a very long scene. The tank chase is rather long as an action sequence, and the way it is shot, it's masterfully done. It's really masterfully done, and it's so much fun. I mean, it was clear to me, probably from a young age, when I saw it 2 years later after I saw it in the cinema, that, of course, they did not go through a wall with a tank. And there is one camera angle where the tank goes through that same wall 2 times. So But probably the explosion, when the cars go over the railing into the river, I think that was shot in St. Petersburg. Definitely. And there are some scenes, the buildings you can find on Google Earth. So definitely a great part was shot there.
I would wager that in those scenes where you can actually see the river going through the city, I think those were shot in St. Petersburg, because I don't remember, or at least I've never seen it, that they actually rebuilt these parts where you can see the river.
No.
That was, how would have been, it would have been possible, but it would have cost, of course, much more. But I think where you can see the thing, that's why I also agree that where these UATs, Soviet military jeeps, where they drive over the railing and one explodes, that must have been done in St. Petersburg. Yeah,
absolutely. And the scene you mentioned last time when we spoke about the music, with this cue that for you symbolizes the Russian theme of the film, when they go over the bridge, when in that blue little tiny car, that's also a bird's eye view of St. Petersburg, because there are 2 very weird looking statues on that bridge, and I know I googled them once, but I forgot. They look like totem poles, but they are something. But these things make you Google, so automatically you become a little bit wiser.
Yeah, right. And I think, talking about the tank chase, I think something that still amazes me the most is, and it's a tiny thing, but actually if you think about it, how extremely dangerous that was, is of course the infamous part where the tank goes through the wall. And just, what has to go into consideration to make that happen? You have to be aware of how fast the tank can actually accelerate, how much space it needs to do so, and you need to have the car going in front. If the car is only 1-2 seconds too early, of course it's long gone until the tank actually comes to the wall. If it's too early, the tank will crash on the car full on. So that timing, that's absolutely insane if you think about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And before that, the car making that turn onto the street with its screeching tires, and this is just, in the next instance this will happen. And with what you said, knowing how timed it was. Yeah.
Right. And I mean, in other cases, you can. There's these usual James Bond things, where you think that take you out of the movie a little bit. Like I say, we're now really overanalyzing it, but there's that one infamous scene where the tank runs over one of the police cars, clearly, completely flattens into the middle of the car, and then the driver still gets out, and so that's. And the other thing is that in many scenes you can see the car actually driving really slow so the tank can catch up. You can see it in after the thing you just mentioned where it skids around the bend before the tank comes. But as soon as the tank comes out of the wall, you can see it drives really slow. And where you can really see it is in that scene where the tank drives through, like you said, through the wall that it bursts through first, and then it's in these narrow corridors and then takes down the walls left and right, and you can really see the car in front driving really, really slowly, like, I don't know, 30, 40 kilometers per hour. So, But you have to look really closely for that, of course. And another thing that I can't get out of my head is in that thing that Pierce Brosnan once did, I think a year or two ago, no, longer perhaps, because it was during COVID, where he did this commentary, where he commented on the whole film, where he did this watch-along with Pierce Brosnan, and he told this story that actually the scenes where he was sitting inside the tank, he was basically sitting on a car box carton and with two sticks in his hands and was kind of mimicking driving a tank. And now every time I see those scenes, I can't get out of my head.
The magic of filmmaking.
Right.
Yeah. Sometimes it's not such a magical world as you would imagine.
Right. Exactly.
But I mean, the illusion is near perfect.
Perfect. Absolutely.
And it has one of your favorite quotes by Urumo. Use the bumper.
Use the bumper. That's what it's for. So many times when we were out and about, and when you visited here, we were on our way around Switzerland or Italy and so on. And that quote came all the time.
All the time.
Where are we supposed to go through? Oh, there's people there. You use the bumper. That's what it's for. Fits so perfectly.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a film that gave us a treasure trove of quotes that we can use all the time.
Absolutely.
I sometimes use that safe sex quote. But random. What about Cuba? Which was actually Puerto Rico. How does it rank with you, the Cuban locations?
Are you talking about Arecibo yet, or are you talking about like all the romantic locations?
Well, everything that is in the final act of the film, including the beach with the sunset and everything, because it is all of that is in stark contrast to what we've seen before. Right.
Well, I've mentioned this enough times. GoldenEye to me is an amazing movie. I love it to its core, but those, like say more romantic scenes, like when they're driving with the BMW through this forest, and then the beach scenes and so on, that's where it falls apart a bit for me, because I know what they're doing, and it's okay to be there to contrast a little bit all the drab and dark and gray settings from before, but I don't know, I'm not too big a fan of those. What do you think?
I like the beach scene, but I never trusted this dialogue between Bond and Natalia. It felt forced somehow. Especially her viewpoint on his job and on his morals. That she tries to hold him accountable for in that moment.
Yeah, where does that come from?
It felt like it was worked in there just to be there, just to tell us, the audience, that it's not okay what Bond does all the time, and he's supposed to feel that too, and he needs to be told by somebody that he feels something for. If you can say that at that time, I don't think the chemistry was too good between the two as characters, not as the actors. They just did not fit together as a screen couple.
Right. And I think the problem starts even earlier. Like I say, we're really going very, very deep now. But I think the turning point in their dynamic is after the explosion of the train, of course, where she suddenly comes at him with when we're going to Cuba and so on. That's sort of when they start to approach. But you're right. I feel the same. Where does that come from? I mean, she was always very distant. She didn't really trust him. She didn't really like him. Of course, then you could make the point that he saved her. But that was all fresh. She was all hyped up, and all of a sudden they're all lovey-dovey, and that was really. I was like I said, where does that come from? You're right. It was not done very elegantly. It was quite forceful. Yeah.
They felt more like a team working together, a team on a mission, like co-workers. Who are, apart from the job that they do, they are a bit friends with benefits. That's how it looked like. Because then after the beach scene, you have that scene in the bed, which is it's an awkward framing. It's because the bed is really flat, but usually you have an overhead shot or something like that. Yes. But she comes from the side. You didn't know she was there, and she crawls over him. It always feels a bit weird. I find that rather weird. I'm sorry. It just looks weird.
Yeah, I've never looked at it that way, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah, I mean, people, look at that scene again. Here it is.
Yeah, you're right.
He's in the middle of the frame. Everything is very linear. Yeah. Very orderly. And suddenly from the side comes this woman, and like a snake, she around him, and I don't know. I've never experienced that before. Weird. It's because usually it's me who does that.
Yeah, it's like the whole movie. It's weird.
Yeah. But when I do it, it doesn't look as half as sexy as when Isabella Scorupco is doing it. But okay, that's why I did not. Yes. Yeah. Well, time for a drink. Let's go back to the dam, the bungee jump at the dam.
Yeah.
What does this symbolize for you, mainly and purely as a stunt?
To be honest, it's a great scene and everything, but every time I hear this quote or this thing where they say, "Wow, what's the highest jump?" and I don't know, when it was record-breaking thing, and I said,
"Was it?"
I always I think to myself, I always think to myself, and that is in no way, shape, or form trying to put down the work that was done or the risk that was taken or the job of Wayne Michaels, I think it is, right, who did the jump?
Yes.
Yes. Amazing, absolutely. But I have to say, is it really that big of a deal? I mean, bungee jump already 94, 95 was an established thing. I mean, there were people doing it, and I mean, people jump out of planes and do this and that, and yeah, it's impressive, but it's not a stunt like. What can I compare it to? It's not something that's so insanely that you just go, wow, what amazing. It doesn't, maybe it's because now in 2025, 30 years later, we're accustomed to other things and we've seen other things being done, oftentimes also with CGI and reinforcement, but it is a cool scene, but it doesn't strike me as being extraordinarily special or extreme or something like that. Even back when I saw it the first time, I think, yeah, he's a secret agent. He needs to get down there. Of course, he bungee jumps, and it was cool, but it was not like this never before seen thing, kind of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. first time seeing it in the cinema, I was amazed, of course. Easy to impress 14-year-old. You could have given me everything. You could have given me flying pigs or flying sharks. I would have been impressed. But later in life, seeing the film more often and analyzing it to death and deep diving into the history and the circumstances under which GoldenEye was made, this bungee jump screams a totally different message to me. Because it is the first thing we see. Before that, there is not much. There is the plane, there is this impressive dam, but that is just a nice landscape shot. So it's an impressive structure, yeah. The man running on the dam, we don't know who it is. We established that in the last episode, so the music is sort of like that. We spoke about the silence that is there just before the bungee jump. The music fades and there's silence, and when he jumps, there's only the wind noise. But what this screams to me whenever I see it on my big screen is 007 is back, and he's physical. This is a physical Bond and a daring Bond who still matters in the 1990s. That is what that jump symbolizes to me. Because I would never do it. Not because your reasons are you wouldn't do it because of your back. You are afraid of injury to your spine. I wouldn't do it because I'm just scared shitless of things like that. I would not. I did a parachute jump. Didn't like it. Ended up scratching my knees while landing. I would never do it again. I hated it. And I wouldn't do a bungee jump. I'm just too scared and too. In these regards, I'm a coward. Yeah.
Well, it's not for everyone. Yeah, that's true.
No, but in terms of GoldenEye, it showed this is a secret agent who is daring, and what we also have to speak about when we speak about the stunt work is in the 6 years that Bond had been off screen, a lot of action films of the late 80s and 90s had done so much incredible and groundbreaking stunt work and action film groundwork for future films. Think of Die Hard, 1988. Living Daylights came in 87, License to Kill in 89. Die Hard already tried with a little bit better storytelling and intense, tension-filled action. Terminator. Also, Terminator 1, Terminator 2. Classic action cinema of the 90s was evolving. So Bond needed to find its relevance somewhere in there.
True.
And the action sequences of GoldenEye really are outstanding enough to tell us, yes, Bond is still relevant and we can still do really, really great things. And the bungee jump is the first thing, and since we know that it was done for real, this is no CGI, this was no practical effect or something, it was a real stuntman jumping from that dam, same as a real stuntman on the bike chasing the plane and driving off Tellystock's mountain edge. This kind of realism, doing the stunts for real, conveys that Bond is fearless and credible. And that is a great thing. No CGI, no cheating, just spectacle.
Yeah, you can feel it. That's true.
Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, but the bungee jump itself pales in comparison even to what Bond had done before. If you think about, like you just mentioned, those movies, the opening of, I think, The Living Daylights, I always confuse the two movies of Dalton, but of course it was The Living Daylights, where he jumped off this cliff in a Range Rover Defender, and then it's going down burning, and then they're hanging out of the back of a cargo plane. I mean, that stuff was really, really impressive and really extreme. In that sense, I still would make the point that the bungee jump pales a little bit in comparison. It's still cool, and of course, that's only the opening. Of course, then comes the whole thing that you said, the bike goes over the cliff, the plane goes over the cliff, Bond has to fly behind it, and so on. I've pushed it a little bit with the long descent of the plane, but okay, let's just...
Yeah, but so much is happening in these first, 10 minutes? It's like you're so deep pressed into your seat, and you're probably sweating like a pig, and you still have 1 hour 50 left.
Yeah, right.
It's an incredible thing.
Yeah. And I mean, they still had this formula down, and I mean, you still have to. Nowadays I have a lot of, or I could talk about a lot of issues that I have with the producers that, of course, now are out since Amazon has taken full control over it. But I still have to give a lot of credit to Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson, because reportedly GoldenEye was the first movie they had to do on their own, because Cubby Broccoli passed away. And I mean, they still had the Bond cocktail nailed, because already these 7, 8, 10 minutes of the opening, you have Bond music somewhat, you have amazing locations, you have amazing stunts, you have gadgets already, you see the piton gun, and these things, the mines and so on. So you have everything, well, except maybe the woman or the Bond girl, but you have everything that's essential to the Bond cocktail already in this opening.
Yeah, absolutely. And they did a great job.
Absolutely.
And I didn't know about this whole constellation with Eon Productions and Barbara and Michael and Cubby and Harry Saltzman when I was a young child. This came much later. I think even while The World Is Not Enough was made, I didn't know the full story about that. But this opened up over the years, and you opened the history books on Bond, and it was incredible to learn that this family company pulled all the strings to make something as incredible as GoldenEye, Tomorrow Never Dies, The World Is Not Enough, Die Another Day, gradually taking Bond into the next millennium. And with every film that I saw, I had the feeling that all the money is put on screen, which of course is true since 1962. This makes the whole franchise appear so honest and true, because it's all done for the pleasure of the audience.
Right.
In recent years, this might have changed, because there were a lot of creative decisions where I thought, okay, you're going to lose a couple of fans with that. But we both had that sentiment. But GoldenEye, as my beginning of the journey with Bond, I thought it was a good start. It was a really good start into Bond. I don't know if License to Kill would have hooked me. I really don't know.
It's a good thought. Yeah, that's interesting.
I really don't know. I think, and for many of us who are now on YouTube, who do social media and content creation, when you ask them, I'm surprised how many I meet who said GoldenEye was my first film in cinemas. So there is a whole generation of GoldenEyers around, probably many of them watching tonight, who hype the film as the same as we do, because and it has its flaws. We're going to speak about that in a minute. You cannot be just overly positive and hype that film without thinking about its flaws, and there are a couple. But ultimately, it made Bond matter again, and I'm very thankful to Barbara Broccoli and Michael Wilson that they made that happen, and that their plan has always worked. And I really trusted them for a very, very long time, until the Daniel Craig era, where it became apparent that she was overly in love with the main actor, and that he was given producer status and producer credit, and was just too much involved in the creative process. And I don't know who said it, but somebody said it: don't give the actor any control.
Yeah, that's true. And I think I shared a video with you lately, and I think we're going to focus on this more in the last episode that we do this week, about the legacy and sort of the cultural impact of GoldenEye. But still, I think this fits here very nicely. Is what really bothered me and what really made me hate the whole Daniel Craig run is that everything that Pierce Brosnan had established, and I mean, like you said a couple of times now in our videos, he rebooted Bond. He made him matter again. He made him great again. Sorry for this quote, but he really, not going there. But he had a great run, and the Pierce Brosnan Bond movies to me are all perfect, great escapism, popcorn cinema, and I never could shake this feeling. And it was actually confirmed in this video that everything that the Daniel Craig era did was like retconning and destroying very, very carefully and very like in a planned and very calculating way everything that Pierce Brosnan had done with his James Bond tenure. And that's what bothers me the most. That's really taking all the fun out, retconning basically what he had done, how it was done, and so on. And in some instances, even talking smack about the Pierce Brosnan Bond era, which I find is just simply disgusting. Because Pierce Brosnan, he not only as an actor, I have a lot of respect for him, but even also as a human being and how he carries himself publicly. That he, even if you can tell that he has issues with certain topics and issues with certain people, he always stays classy. He rather says nothing that says something bad about certain people. And of course, then you have this other generation, like the Daniel Craig generation, that have no problem just talking down on a legacy that was handed over to them in a fairly good state in terms of money and the reputation. Die Another Day, of course, was not without its criticism and so on, but still, it was not in shambles. The whole thing was not in shambles. It was in quite a good state. And Die Another Day financially did really well. So he took over something Pierce Brosnan helped at least conserving. And to then go back and say, oh, that was not good, that was not did not like that, and we're going to do everything differently. It's kind of, it's unthankful. It's ungrateful, and it's disgusting.
Yeah, I always felt that way as well. Since we're at that moment, comparing with Daniel Craig, Martin Campbell, of course, directed GoldenEye, but also directed Casino Royale. Two titans in the Bond franchise, you may call them, because both reinvented James Bond. You've seen Casino Royale? Yeah, probably. You've seen the first one and then decided to stop.
I saw the first three ones. I saw Casino, I saw Quantum with you once, the first time where we did watch along together. And then I watched Skyfall as well, but just because it was in the DVD box, and like I said last time, I was bored and I didn't have anything else to do, so I said, well, maybe give them a chance, and at least I've always hated those movies, but at least I could hate them with conviction, if you want to say. So, at least know about it. That's true. I remember it. Partially. Casino Royale. I remember it partially, but I was not impressed at all. There's not much that was stuck.
It is Craig's best, I would say. The first is the best. And I really admire Martin Campbell for what he did there, because it was a totally different film than GoldenEye. Usually you see a lot of the handiwork of a director repeating itself in films that they make. But with Martin Campbell's work, you always see something new, or he goes in a completely new direction with something. And of course, he was working with a script that was made for Casino Royale. That was not his choice. But when you look at these two films, GoldenEye and Casino Royale, I mean, between Die Another Day and Casino Royale, there were, Die Another Day was 2002? 3, 4, 5, 6. It was 4 years between the films. Between License to Kill and GoldenEye, it was 6. So Bond needed to be back. And Daniel Craig got a lot of heat and hate before the film, when he was announced as Bond, blonde Bond, whatever. And still, people applauded in the cinema on first screening, at least here in my hometown, and I've never seen that watching any film in the cinema, that people get up and applaud in the main title sequence when you see him coming out of a silhouette and then his face reveals and then you see Daniel Craig. But comparing the two films and how they were made, GoldenEye was a spectacle, classic 90s action. Bond's persona is very suave, very slick, as we established in the cast and characters episode. But he's also very composed. He relies on gadgets a lot, because the 90s films had a lot of gadgets. And that's what we wanted. I mean, it caters to the audience.
Sure.
Whereas in Casino Royale, they stripped Bond of all of that. They took everything away. They took Q away, Moneypenny, and Martin Campbell delivered with the script that he was given a raw and impulsive and emotionally vulnerable Bond, a complete different take on Bond than we had with GoldenEye.
Yeah, right.
And the action style, I mean, Martin Campbell is a great director for these things. GoldenEye, the action sequence is flawless. But they were highly stylized, very explosive, very well made, so that explosives feel bigger than they actually were.
Yes.
And it was a very theatrical display. I mean, the tank chase in St. Petersburg, it's a showcase for what British stunt work can do.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's true.
And Casino Royale was much more grounded. It was very brutal in places, but more character driven. It was not so much defined by, and how do we always call that? When you blow everything up on screen, I only know the German word, Materialschlacht. I don't know the English word. I forgot it. But it's a nice word. Learn it, people. Materialschlacht.
Yeah.
That's
material. I don't know. I couldn't.
Material
tell.
Battle? No. It's when you everything. It's when everything that you have you throw on screen and you blow it up and you destroy as much as you can. The material, you blow everything up. So that was the tank chase is a prime example for that. And the opening sequences are also very similar. In Casino Royale, you have that big parkour chase. It is very fast. It's I would say Art Nouveau because parkour is something relatively new as a sport, and I think it comes from France. And the stuntman who did it, he is from France. And GoldenEye is much more subtle in how the opening sequence evolves. So the bungee jump is very quiet. Going into the facility is rather quiet. It's not that everything explodes right away, but it's very linear. And in Casino Royale, the parkour chase was just very wild. It was really, really wild. With the music by David Arnold, fantastic music by David Arnold, really, to introduce the new Bond. What they shared, GoldenEye and Casino Royale, is the same level of grit, I would say. A bit dirty in places, but in Casino Royale, Bond really gets beaten up and he bleeds. And we talked about that also in Brosnan's Bond films. I mean, that is one of the flaws as well. He's literally unscathed by whatever he runs into. And he never bleeds, and suits fit perfectly. Even in The World Is Not Enough, when the whole caviar factory is exploding around him and he's falling down here and he's stumbling there, and but it's just nothing happened. Yeah,
that's true.
I would consider that a flaw. So when you compare it to Casino Royale in the scene when he really beats that guy through the stairwell, and then he goes into his bathroom, drink in hand, and rips open his shirt and everything's full of blood, and he looks into the mirror and thinks, and you see it in his face, why am I keep doing this? Why? And this was part of introducing us to this other Bond, just like in 1995 we were introduced to this Bond, who was exactly right for its time. And the tone of violence we saw in the third act of GoldenEye, it's very brutal because Trevelyan and Bond, they are both trained agents by the same agency, by the same country. And this fight on the satellite dish, it's very raw, it's sweaty, it's brutal, and Casino Royale did exactly the same. That is Martin Campbell's strength, I think. Filming close quarter combat scenes. I think he's really good in that. His last film, The Cleaner, also. The strength was in close quarter combat scenes. That was what he really did well. And in GoldenEye, everything was very clean and cinematic. Sometimes even with a little bit of humor in there, like Boys with Toys. You know, do you destroy every vehicle you get into? In Casino Royale, you have none of that. It's harsh, it's visceral, and the consequences that arise from what Bond does, they matter, and physically and emotionally.
Yeah.
But Martin Campbell is a really good director.
But I want to get back to one point that you made, that actually you would consider this a flaw, that the Pierce Brosnan era was heavily leaning into this kind of, he's a superhero, he usually does not get shot, and if he gets injured, it's very small paintings of blood or just a bit of dirt on the face and so on. That's true. But going back to the context of the 90s, I mean, first of all, when I was a kid, that didn't matter. It was, James Bond was so cool, and he was bigger than life. So of course it was taken for granted, at least in my books, it was taken for granted that he could get through the worst situations practically unscathed. And if you compare it, like you mentioned it before, Die Hard, for instance. I mean, John McClane gets beaten up. He's bloody. He slits open his feet. So he's really an everyday guy that really gets he gets a pounding, but really, really badly. Yeah. And there are other instances, but James Bond, again, he's a bigger than life character. He's a super secret agent, and of course all these things that we've heard all throughout the years. Oh, how can he be a secret agent when he's recognized everywhere? Hello, Mr. Bond. Well, that doesn't make any sense. But then again, and that goes back to a Quentin Tarantino quote. When he was asked by this I don't remember his name, but it's Vishnam, this weird British journalist that always kind of aggravates his.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Right, exactly. When he keeps asking him why do you make your film so brutal, and what is your stance, and he just said, you can just answer it in one quote. It's make believe. It's a movie. It's fantasy. Yeah. What else is there to say? And that also, I connect that with Bond. And I mean, I get your point, and I know in which context you bring it, because a lot of people that are not fans of the Pierce Brosnan Bond tenure, they actually have a problem with that he's like this superhero. For me, and again, I don't care what Fleming wrote and all this stuff. I just see the movies, and I love the movies, most of them. And to me, and that has everything to do with what you grew up with, which phase you came into, and that was the 90s. That was Pierce Brosnan, and that was his style of playing James Bond. And to me, that is James Bond, not what Daniel Craig delivered, and not like you said, this overly dramatical and bloody and everything. That for me is not James Bond. That in my books, that's too much reality. That's too grounded.
I mean, I was never against Bond coming out of every situation unscathed. This lack of tactical realism has been displayed throughout the whole Bond history. It has always been there. I mean, imagine the unthinkable situations that he lived through. All of this hilarious crap over the years. I mean, Moonraker, the gondola scene, and all of that. I mean, just a tiny bit of dust and dirt. Impossible odds in every film.
Yeah, there we go.
But of course, as you say, of course, he is the hero, and it is a bit humorous. And we would not talk about it if it wasn't. So
true.
It's part of the charm, yeah. But I can live with a more realistic version of a secret agent who gets beat up like John McClane or like Daniel Craig in Casino Royale. I found the realism really refreshing, but if they would have kept it on that level, I would have been fine with it. But they made a spin into this emotional world and this story arc, which ends up with him having a child with a woman that he has no chemistry with whatsoever. This again was so unbelievable. Yeah, and that for me was the lack of realism that in the end came over the last Craig films. It's like a veil of I don't know. I don't even want to go there.
No. Let's.
I was hired to speak about GoldenEye.
Right, exactly. And the topic today is locations, stunts,
stunt
and miniatures.
work.
Right,
Yeah.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
But of course, it's like these Bond conversations. You can't go down a narrow road. It's always going to the left and right and stuff like that. That's absolutely fine, I think.
And you need to speak about other films as well, because you make a comparison. Or, like I said in the beginning, the action films had evolved, and Bond needed to catch up and needed to display relevancy in this action cinema landscape. And GoldenEye gets a lot of things right. But it also gets a lot of things wrong. It is the perfect film does not exist. The perfect Bond film does not exist. You will not find a film where both of us would say this is a completely flawless production from start to finish. We will not find that. But over the course of these episodes now, this is episode 4, and after that we're done with the film. But we have, I think, worked us so deep into the world of GoldenEye, and we found so many things to be interesting, and like we said in the first episode, more than meets the eye. And it's true, GoldenEye ticks a lot of boxes. From the bungee jump opening, the tank chase, the facility escape, the runway chase, the plane dive. I mean, we wouldn't have gone there otherwise if it would be a flaw in the film. But GoldenEye stumbles as much as it does things right. So, overuse of gunfights, just one example. It often feels meaningless, and there's a lot of it, and it's very, very loud. The library scene, for example. It's basically run, shoot, and jump 5, 4, 6 times, and this is not really creative compared to the previous Bond films, which of course they had gunfights, but not on that scale. Here and there for 4 minutes straight, and
that's true. It's true, but you could still say that GoldenEye does some things that only GoldenEye does. I mean, let's for example, let's say skiing. That's been done in multiple Bond movies. Let's say jumping out of a plane has been done in multiple Bond movies. Car chases, of course, have been done over and over again. Just like what you just described, guys running after each other. It's been done many times. But for instance, the bungee jump, the tank chase, those were 2 standout things that were only done in GoldenEye.
Yeah.
And in no other movie.
And it's pure adrenaline. That's the outcome.
Right. Yeah.
Pure adrenaline, and it shows a level of reckless ingenuity that has not been seen before.
Right.
Which serves the film quite well. And me, as the audience member who pays for it and wants to be entertained for 2 hours, I'm very happy with GoldenEye. But I'm also happy with Die Another Day. A lot of people hate it because of its CGI, and there are a lot of weird things in it. Sure. And it was the 40th anniversary, and there are tons of references in there where you thought, oh, God, you could have left that out. But everything else is there. And a lot of the old tropes from the older Bond films are there. Like Zhao having all the diamonds in his face goes right. You can put him right on the list of people with facial deformities in the Bond films, and there are many, not just villains but also sidekicks. So a lot of it was brought back, and GoldenEye started it. And Pierce Brosnan had a great run. He had a great run through it, and I loved how suave and slick he was. These were exactly the films for me, and I still love to watch them.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
absolutely.
More than others. Do you know how often have you seen GoldenEye? Do you know that?
I lost count, but I think it must be at least 300 to 400 times.
Wow.
I watch it all the time, and I mean I've been doing it ever since 1997. So I've seen it way many more times than I should have.
I might have seen it 60 times or so.
Okay. Which is still a lot for a movie.
It is.
I mean,
but
it's the same thing over and over again.
Times. That's.
Yeah, I know. Like I say, I'm just absolutely, But what I was wondering, a thought that crossed my mind just earlier, is that, of course, when we talk about the locations of GoldenEye, the famous ones are like the Dam, like we said, like St. Petersburg. But let's maybe talk a little bit about those locations that sometimes I'm a little bit surprised at. I mean, there are these location hunter people. There are people sometimes uploading photos from Bond locations, but you seldom see them taking pictures from some of the other famous GoldenEye locations. Just to name a few examples, this part, I think it was shot in France, where the whole car chase takes place in the beginning between Xenia and Bond. You hardly hear anyone talk about this. Then the whole Monaco thing, which is visually striking. And I mean, there's quite a bit of screen time dedicated to Monaco.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the whole thing.
And they are very accessible.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
there would not be a reason not to go there.
Absolutely, and those are the locations that are maybe sometimes, I would say, a little bit overlooked. The problem is, in some cases, of course, that it only existed. It was only a figment of the imagination. Like a lot of the interior scenes, like the Zhukovsky Club, the whole warfare facility, of course, doesn't exist, and so on. But the actual real life locations, you already there's this serpentine, this mountain road where they shot the car chase. You hardly ever see anyone upload photos or taking or going there, just location visiting.
Yep, it's true. I know the name, but if I try to pronounce it, I know what I get from the other side here.
Yes, please.
No, I won't do it.
No, but in sake, in sake
wrong.
of completion, you must say it.
Is it Les Griolières? Something like that?
Yeah, that's possible.
Highly likely.
Well, that's possible. Yeah. There you go.
Brompton Cemetery in London was filmed. The Orthodox Church where Natalia runs into Boris. That's just a church in a cemetery. I see a lot of photos from that location.
Okay.
You have Draper's Hall in London, where the meeting is, where Urumov walks into with the defense minister. That is not 100% accessible. You can rent it, you can book it. I once asked if I can film in there for my film Bond for Life, but there were scheduling problems, otherwise it would have been possible. But it costs you money, because in the UK, shooting film and photo is a business, not like here in Germany, where there are certain rules. You can pretty much film everything inside and outside if you have permission, but you don't need to pay. In England, there's a lot you have to pay for. But they have always used, for cost-effective reasons, a lot of locations in and around London or the greater Windsor area, where Ian Productions is located, and also where Pinewood Studios are. So
2 more. Somerset House, St. Petersburg, where they fixed the blue car,
the whole square. I mean, everybody believed that, but it's an enclosed space, and everybody believed that. Yeah,
and you can also see it in Tomorrow Never Dies when he drives in with his, but you don't realize it because it was shot differently and so on. And and I think we've talked about this once, but I forget the actual exit of the St. Petersburg. Airport was, I think, horse stables.
Epsom Racecourse,
Epsom, exactly. There we go. Yeah, exactly. There we go. Yeah, and of course, looks completely different now.
Yeah, sure.
Or otherwise,
yeah. But for cost-effective reasons, they made it in their home country, in their native country, England. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nobody will ever realize.
And I mean, you still have to say. I mean, I think it's still very ballsy to have so many locations double as locations in, some supposed Russian places, and you clearly can tell that they're in and around Britain. So I find that quite remarkable that you could still film something that's so clearly set in England and just write, oh, that's Russia.
Yeah, but I mean, in this adrenaline-fueled adventure that GoldenEye was, when you see it in the cinema, these things don't appear to you. They don't reveal themselves. Only when you have the time at home and you see it, like you 300, 400 times, or me 60 times, then gradually you begin to see things, and you get a deeper understanding of plot lines and characters and the contrast between them and mirrors, what we talked about and all of that, and the significance of the music, all of that, this picture forms much later. Only film experts and film analysts who watch films on a daily basis for decades, they will realize in the first viewing, they can explain everything to you what we did in almost 8 hours now.
Yeah, sure.
And I know a couple of them, but they are a difficult bunch. Because often only their perception is the right one in their mind. So you can say, I did not like the film, and they will say, well, it doesn't matter, but it's a great film. It's, which basically says you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's true.
They put you down. And the perception of films, liking a film or not liking a film, is down to personal opinion. I don't want to offend anyone if I say I don't like Batman or Forever. I don't like Batman, and somebody else who is a massive fan of that was, how can you say that? How can you insult such a perfect film? And I said, I don't. It's just I don't like it. It's not my thing.
You said it. I don't like it. I did not say it's a bad movie. I said I don't like it, and that's the distinction. Yeah. And also, I will make the case that I would never argue or defend my preferences and my likes and my what I like. That's my opinion. That's what I like. That's what I don't like, and that's it. I'm not going to defend that.
Yeah. True. And GoldenEye, in specifically GoldenEye, we've read a lot of reviews and people's take on the film back then and now. It gets a lot of hate. But I always think, why is that necessary? Because I think it isn't. It is a film that is a celebration of Bond's legacy, and it is a very bold step into modern 90s cinema. And a departure from the classic Bond. So if they wouldn't have done that, Bond would have been dead long ago.
Yeah.
Bond would have been dead after License to Kill. If they hadn't done what they did with GoldenEye. It's true, the film is not always subtle in the way the plot splits across the screen, and how the action sequences are made, and all the gunfights and everything, but it is undeniably entertaining.
Yeah.
And that's what I want. That's exactly what I want. It caters to my needs. And the balance between practical stunts and huge cinematic flair, including everything, including the music and the title song, all fit together perfectly. Laid the groundwork for many more films to come. The first Mission Impossible in 1996, for example. True Lies, 1994 was made at the same time, and the opening scene of True Lies is like a spy thriller.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's like a lost Bond. Yeah, it's like a lost Bond.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's snow, so I love it.
It's great.
And it's really, really a great film. But of course, also True Lies goes over the top in the end with this long bridge, and they blow the trucks out of from that bridge with a helicopter. It was just
the whole jet thing was
it's just too much. It's just too much. It's like when a giant crushes a mouse. It's ultimately useless. But okay, you could say that about GoldenEye. The satellite dish crushes Trevelyan.
Yeah, but it's not. I mean,
no, but you could.
You could, yeah. But again, I would say another thing that I would say is, of course, you cannot take, or at least that's my take on it. You cannot take any movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger in it and make it halfway believable. I mean, he's just too grand for that. His features and everything is so exaggerated already. So a grounded film took. I mean, there are cases where he did more like more subtle role like that. The name just escaped me. Where he goes into South America, I think, and he avenges the death of his daughter and his wife who were blown up. I just the name escaped me of that movie. There were movies that were more grounded where he played a more grounded character, but if I see his face, it's just automatically it's already a parody. I love his movies. I mean, they're great fun, but you cannot even closely put it to James Bond territory.
Get to the chopper.
Yeah,
I can't do Schwarzenegger.
No, I don't. No, I can't either.
No. Yes. Well, we haven't spoken about the miniatures yet, which are of course an essential part of GoldenEye. Derek Medding's model work and his little. It's almost that miniature wonderland in Hamburg. With all the little trains and everything. I think Derek Meddings would have loved to be a guest there and see that, because that's basically what he did. Severnaya was a complete landscape, like in an adventure park. Fantastic. And it is really old school magic of filmmaking. I mean, models are as old as Godzilla. And this wasn't a digital age. I mean, Jurassic Park 1993 had revolutionized the use of CGI, and this is very apparent when you have a 35mm copy of Jurassic Park, an original, which I have the uncropped version, which is 4:3 and not 16:9, but all the CGI scenes in a computer, the computer rendered everything in 16:9. So the film constantly switches from 4:3 to 16:9. But what was done with Jurassic Park and the dinosaurs, this was of course groundbreaking for 90s cinema. But still, GoldenEye, or in a bigger sense, Bond in general, did not want to go there. They were very patient with that technology, and I think overuse of CGI, Die Another Day, of course, no debate about that. But a lot, even Tomorrow Never Dies and The World Is Not Enough, a lot of that was practical. The boat chase, it was all done for real. Some things were done with green and blue screen, sure, but only some insert shots. Otherwise, the Thames chase is pretty much real. The Tomorrow Never Dies car park chase, most of it is real. It was filmed in a supermarket car parking lot and not in Hamburg. And Derek Meddings was already a veteran in the Bond production. And what is your favorite model set, Derek Meddings?
That is very difficult to say. I mean, there's a lot of things that I love. I love the miniatures of the jet. I love the miniature version of the Arecibo installation. That's not only the dish, but also the surrounding forest and so on.
It wasn't even that small. It was quite large.
No. It's quite large.
For a miniature.
True, and I always have to say, probably still, I would say this is a kind of an odd choice, but I would say probably my favorite miniature is the far shot of the warfare facility, the runway, which was partially a plate, a matte painting, and parts miniature shot. But I'll also always have to say that I have an immense amount of respect and love for people who work with miniatures, because to make a miniature, to build a miniature is not that difficult, but to make it look used and to make it, to give an impression of its scale through painting, and I mean, we're talking about really not a lot of space and things that you can achieve realism with it. And of course, you just mentioned Jurassic Park before, and I mean, at least back in the 90s, they were very aware of that I mean, Jurassic Park, you know it as the dinosaur movie, but actually if you count the screen time of the actual dinosaurs that were shown, it's not much. It's not that much for a 2-hour movie. It's maybe close to 30 minutes that you can actually see dinosaurs, and I think that's a big trick in the trick book of miniatures, is that you show it just long enough that you can buy it and you can kind of find your way around the scene, but before you start to overlook at it. And they did that really well in GoldenEye. I mean, thinking about the miniature shots of the jets, of that one shot, I mean, and it integrates flawlessly. I mean, Arecibo, they had so many shots and camera angles of that whole installation that was actually filmed on location, and maybe 1 or 2 shots were miniature, and it just blends perfectly. You cannot tell it. Also, because it's not shown long enough for you to realize it's a miniature shot.
Yeah. Although Severnaya is quite long, you can see it quite long in the picture, but it's dark. It's nighttime. So
and
this
there's a
masks
snowstorm.
a lot. And there's a snowstorm. So this
Right,
masks
exactly.
a lot. It's like the rain
Absolutely.
in Jurassic Park.
Right,
where I
exactly.
always said when something happens, when there's a dinosaur breakout or whatever, oh, here comes the rain. Because it masks a lot of it away that you don't want people to see.
Right, exactly.
But I've seen it. I've seen the potted plant in Jurassic Park standing next to the T-Rex paddock and asking myself, what is it doing there?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're the famous examples, also in GoldenEye that kind of revealed themselves. But it's really a matter of you have to go frame by frame to see it. There's the example of just a couple of milliseconds before in the statue park, the Tiger helicopter explodes. You can actually see that it's a miniature model because the Bond and Natalia, they're just figurines, and you can clearly see it but you really have to go frame by frame. If you look, I've tested this a couple of times. I watched a scene, not going frame by frame, just watching it. If you just go through it like that, you have no chance of noticing that those are puppets or little figurines. Are sitting in there.
But they had many of them, the jet pilots as well, of course. And before we speak more about the Severnaya set, there is a little clip that I want to show from the house visit that I made to my friend Chris Distin, who is, of course, a long-time collector of Bond screen-used gadgets and how do you call it? Props. Right. He collects props. They are all real, and nothing of it is fake or rebuilt. It's all from the original filming, and he's got a display at home, nice IKEA display, really impressive, with lots of stuff, and also something from GoldenEye. Watch this little clip when I visited Chris a couple of years ago.
These are miniatures. So this is miniatures from GoldenEye.
Yeah.
Both of them.
All right.
So we've got the trees that we use in the Severnaya set.
Right.
So it was all a miniature set, forced perspective.
Yeah.
So they used this, and then they used cat litter for snow.
Oh, clever.
And apparently, well, it is clever, but apparently I read that they, after a couple of days, it started to smell really bad.
So they used cat litter.
Yeah.
So somebody didn't get the memo.
That's right. That's right.
That's good.
And the pilots up the top are from the MiG pilots that were used in the planes. They were like 1 to 6.
Right. But I mean, it's this work that goes into that. I mean, you have to think of all these things. You have to make them. That's like when you have a miniature train at your home, and you can buy these things.
Yeah. There were hundreds of these, you do the set. There was a lot of palm trees in there. Yeah.
Derek Medding's work.
Yes,
Derek Medding's great.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Medding's was,
Yeah, there you have it. Cat litter as snow.
Exactly, and you know what I always find interesting is that, of course, a lot of the GoldenEye promotion pictures were done by this photographer, this British photographer, John Stoddard, and he's a really cool guy, by the way. I remember that I've talked to him a couple of times, and you, I think, as well. We chatted with him. He's a really cool guy.
I haven't.
He had a lot of. Oh, okay. It was someone else, but I remember I've chatted with him a couple of times, and he had only the nicest things to say about Pierce Brosnan, and he was really excited to share his adventure on making those promotional pictures for GoldenEye. And what I always find interesting is that they had a couple of promo shots where you could see Bond in his tuxedo, and I think also Famke Janssen with the AK, that they were actually shot on the 7i miniature. I mean, that's a very weird idea, don't you think?
Yeah. I always thought they look really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great,
Odd,
but
odd.
weird.
Yeah, odd. Because the characters are immensely big, large, tall, and then you have this little model landscape.
And why would you do that? I mean, of course, you don't want to destroy the illusion. You don't want to give away the illusion that 7i was actually shot somewhere in a real location. So why would you already in the promotional pictures would see that they're standing on the miniature model set? It's an unusual approach.
Yeah. Although I never thought of it because I had little contact with these promotional shots around the time of the release of the film.
Sure.
Because they were probably in press packs and whatnot, and for the media. So I didn't read any cinema related literature magazines or anything. That started later. But I agree. Yeah. It's a weird decision, but there was a lot. I mean, the other photos were done in front of a red background, striking red, signal color red. I mean, why? I mean, it's good. You could make a transparent picture out of it because it's easy to erase, but why? It's not easy on the eyes, and these photos are really, really nice from the motifs that they capture. I mean, these pictures of Famke Janssen as Zinja on the top. I could look at them all day. I know I had one of them framed, a black and white John Stoddard of Famke Janssen, and it was on my wall for years and years.
Are you talking about the ones where she's having fun with Pierce Brosnan, where they close up of the faces?
No, that was one on which she was. It was a portrait shot of her. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Because
but with this punching neckline and black and with this fierce look in her eyes and hairdo and very elegant but also fierce at the same time.
Yeah, right. I just remember him telling this story about I think at least two very famous lines of photographs for GoldenEye promotion. That were the ones where the actors are in front in front of those flames, where there's black and the flames, and then there's the other one, those that look like fun photo booth pictures, especially with Famke Janssen and Pierce Brosnan. And I think John Stoddard told the story. I mean, it's been a really long time since I last talked to him, but I think they were done in a hotel room. And I just remember him saying that Famke and Pierce Brosnan had a really, really great chemistry, and they had a lot of fun in that photo shoot. And of course, you can tell they're laughing. They're really a little bit like it seemed like a little bit of a very young couple in love and so on. And He told me basically that it was not fake. It was really, they got along great, and it was a great photo session. And I mean, that's the kind of stories that you love to hear as well behind the scenes. You know, when you hear these things that they actually that they had so much fun on these things, because it always translates into what you consume then.
What just comes to my mind when we say the photo session in front of the flames, what I always loved in GoldenEye and what I always use for editing, and are the explosions of GoldenEye. Because a lot of it, remember the train explosion, that was also a miniature. They ran away from the explosion, but there was another explosion filmed as with the miniature train. And there are photos of that with Derek Meddings with this miniature train, which is not really miniature, so you really need a few people to carry it. But it's a small one. But it's really nice because it's for certain wide shots and it looks massive. And when you look at the explosions of GoldenEye, they look, because of this wide shots, they look massive, but actually aren't. They are under control, but today there are a lot of CGI flames and a lot of CGI explosions, but the ones in GoldenEye, they really had a texture to them.
Yes.
And they were sort of unpredictable and had a real color scheme, a real firelight, as an explosion would have. A lot of explosions today look really fake.
Right.
And
I saw a
really
video.
Nice.
Yeah, I know. I saw a video on that once. I think by this this. It's quite a big YouTube channel, but again, the name just escaped me. It's not because I don't want to give him any credit, but I just forgot. It's Film Crew or something like that. It's called, and they analyzed and I think I remember they really juxtaposed a GoldenEye explosion to a modern one, and it's something. Where with digital explosions they get, like you said, the color scheme wrong. If you think about the GoldenEye's explosions, they are very orangey, almost red, and so on, and also the muzzle
with
flashes.
With blues somewhere in there. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Also, the muzzle flashes in GoldenEye, they all have this very intense, warm. It feels warm already. You can see by the colors. And nowadays they often get wrong. I think somewhere it was something about around the edges of the explosion, where in real explosions there's a certain color transition that's off in CGI explosions and so on. And again, the whole color scheme in CGI explosions often is completely off. That just makes them feel less visceral than actually in cases like GoldenEye.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. Do you know what? Can you name your most favorite film explosion out of the top of your head?
I would say probably what always comes to mind. It's probably one of the most famous ones, but it's the one where you can see in The World Is Not Enough, where you can see this pipeline exploding. Because I love that explosion, because first there's a fireball
three different
that goes
places. It explodes.
And then it draws everything back inside, and then it explodes massively again. So there's like this kind of movement in the explosion. It goes out a bit, in, and then really big. So that I think is really, really outstanding explosion, and it's almost weird to say, a very, very satisfying explosion to look at that. Which one would you say is yours?
Off the top of my head, I have two. One is the battleships in Pearl Harbor, when they are attacked by the Japanese, and one after the other explodes. There is a shot from right to left, I think, and you just see the explosions going off from right to left, and it's such a visceral, big, bombastic thing, and of course it's tragic because it was real back then in 1941, but on a big cinema screen this was massive. The second one is was that a Mad Max film, or was it a Fast and the Furious? I don't know. I don't remember, because I've seen it once, and then after that I've just seen the explosion because I Google it because I love to look at it. It's very satisfying. It's an oil tanker thing, but a massive one, and there are a lot of cars in front of it. I'll find the scene. I'll put it in here. A lot of cars are in front of it, and this oil tanker explodes, and it was filmed from, I think, 4 or 5 different perspectives, because these are things you do one time. And you need to get it right. That's why with Bond, they always have a second and a third camera rolling for something. I don't know how many they had at Tellystock Mountain. Maybe they only had this one, because you have no behind the scenes. I've never seen any behind the scenes from it.
Yeah, true.
But in later Bond films, I Know the World Is Not Enough, when after the ski chase, this explosion goes off behind Bond and Electra King.
Oh, yes.
And he opens this rescue jacket. This explosion was filmed with multiple cameras, because you can only do it one time. And then you have to repeat everything. You have to build the snow ramp again, and you have to unravel all the safety protocols again. And this shot, I'm really not sure if it was Mad Max, but it could be. It was done in an open desert. So there, of course, you can do a lot more. And it looked really great, because you have sunshine, you have the redness and orangeness of the desert, and then this massive explosion, towering high explosion. And from the way it was shot and the way it was edited, it looked so real and so fantastically satisfying. These are the ones I remember off the top of my head. I love a lot in Bond as well, of course.
Of course you can.
In The World Is Not Enough, there's also a shot in the caviar factory where an explosion goes off behind some barrels, and the barrels are flying through the air. And the camera is mostly static in these shots, just with a few pans. But when this barrel goes off, the camera follows the barrel.
Yeah, true.
That's a completely weird shot, but it makes this whole thing, again, very dynamic. Like you're there. Because when something goes up in smoke, an explosion, you follow something that flies off. You will follow that with your eyes. And that's what the camera does for you. It's very interesting. It's a very interesting shot.
Yeah. And I mean, generally, I would say, I will make the point that every explosion is great where you can actually feel the thing that explodes is affected. Like, that's something that I think they still can't get really well done with CGI, because that layer of unpredictability, that layer of natural randomness of an explosion and things flying around and stuff. Always when you can see, or when a vehicle explodes, for instance, you can see the vehicle shaking a bit. You can see the individual parts flying away. And that's when you can actually, when it feels like that, then I think it's a great explosion. Yeah. And that's something that you don't get, for instance, that you just mentioned, The World Is Not Enough, where you have this wall of fire behind Bond when he's on those chains, pushed forward by the blast and the shockwave. It's just a wall of flames. It is somewhat impressive, but it doesn't feel as visceral as a well done explosion.
Exactly. Yeah. And remember Thunderball, when at the very end the Disco Volante explodes on this rock. They used rocket fuel, experimental rocket fuel, to create this explosion, which in 20 kilometer in the distance in Nassau, it still blew the glass out of the windows because the explosion was so powerful. But it didn't look like that on screen.
Yeah, that's true.
You know the story now, but it's a very forgettable explosion.
Absolutely.
The behind-the-scenes information is rather nice, because that's how things were done in the 60s. No prisoners. But certainly with GoldenEye, the level of realism in these scenes, they add to the fantastic action scenes. And, of course, the model work is part of that. But blowing up a whole model, like the facility, I think that's what you were referring to. What they blow up was the model, and we have that picture with a spray can next to it. That was very difficult to find. So that's what they blew up. This does not look believable on a modern Blu-ray. Yeah. But still.
No, it's unfortunately not, no.
A lot of things in that scene don't. But I don't care.
Yeah,
I really don't care because it's relatively short. And it looks like a shoe carton on fire.
That's true, but I still love the little bit where you can see, in the movie actually you can see it, that first on the explosion you can see stuff flying out of the roof and so on. That looks great.
And the sound is great. The sound effect is great.
The sound is great, yeah.
Because
all through
at first it's... So there is a small boom, then something sonic, and then a big boom. That was really nicely done from the sound effect point of view.
Absolutely. And, you know, talking about explosions and miniatures again, I can't help but thinking that, you know, these production teams and filmmakers and directors and so on, where do they actually decide? I mean, unfortunately, I don't know, but that would be sort of like a question we'd have to forward to Martin Campbell, perhaps, if he can still remember. I mean, it's 30 years ago. Like, two very, very specific examples. In the opening scene with the motorbike and the plane, why did they actually shoot that on location? I mean, that's something... The bike and the plane going over the cliff, they could have done that with miniatures, and they could have done a lot of the tank chase stuff with miniatures as well. Why in those cases they didn't do it with miniatures or partially with miniatures? And other examples come to mind, like what was I just thinking before? Well, the shot where the plane crashes in the jungle, that's partially, of course, miniature.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, but where, that would be an interesting perspective. Where do you decide to use miniatures and where not?
I mean, you could pick a lot of scenes in the Bond franchise where you could ask yourself, why was that not done with miniatures, especially because it poses a threat to the stuntman doing the job. But I think it gives you, from a media perspective and from a marketing perspective, it's very interesting to say we did that for real, I think. But we would have to look at press kits and behind the scenes stuff and articles from that time if they mentioned doing the bungee jump for real, or I know that was mentioned in the cinema magazine that we have called Cinema. The bungee jump was hyped a lot, but not so much the plane jump. But maybe in British media, maybe in American media, you don't know. Doubtful, because I guess we would have more behind the scenes pictures of the making of that sequence if they really had used it for marketing purposes.
That's true,
and we don't.
And that's right. And I think that's still something. I mean, we've talked about this a couple of times now throughout the series. It is astonishing how much and at the same time how little exists of behind the scenes of GoldenEye. I mean, of course, they're the featurettes. I mean, there's the double DVD edition where you have a lot of making of, but still, I think there's a lot missing. And like you say, like those behind the scenes pictures of what we just saw before, the facility and so on, they're just available in a very small format. You can't really blow it up, or you can't really see anything. And that's what baffles me. I mean, Bond was already a big thing back then, and if I remember, like Die Hard 2 or even Die Hard 1, they had such long and extensive making-ofs that just can't help but thinking, well, is there more around? Has it gotten lost in time? Has it not translated to the digital world that we have now? Or do they still have a lot laying around, but they don't want to release it? Or that's, I'm asking myself that as well.
I'm sure there is more in the archives. I'm pretty sure of that. That they keep for future releases, but what they now release with the Sean Connery films, for example, there will be a new Blu-ray edition on the market. I think once our episode is released, they are already on the market. And I looked at the bonus material. It's exactly the same as all the editions before. So the only thing you get is the 4K, the new 4K scan, and they are new scans. Also, with the 6 films released earlier in this year, the Connery box. But, and there's always a but, I said it before, compared to the iTunes 4K versions, which were like cleaned and a little bit color graded and boosted in color, the new scans revert that to a more cinematic experience. Everything is a little bit more unpolished. I mean, they have been cleaned of dust and everything and scratches, but in some scenes there is a bit of blur, like you also had in the cinema, because 35mm camera, it has a specific focal length and whatever. And I recently spoke to a filmmaker in Berlin who made a film that has a lot of blurry scenes, because he said, well, this is the distance of the actor to the camera. Please keep this distance. If you don't, you will be out of focus. And these were child actors. So, I mean, you can tell them a lot. But he said he had, in a running sequence, he had to give this little girl who was acting in front of the camera a thread. An invisible thread, and as long as it was tight with the person behind the camera, the distance was right. And if it wasn't, she was out of focus. That's the problem with 35mm cameras. And the Connery films sadly look like that. And a little bit of this film grain has been put back in. I mean, it's on the scan automatically. It's a 35 millimeter, and I love these 35 millimeter things. That's why I only use 35 millimeter clips for these episodes that we're doing. There is not a single clip that is from the GoldenEye Blu-ray or whatever. It's a 35 millimeter preservation scan. So because grit. Grit. True grit. Yeah.
But I have to say, yeah, I saw, and thank you for sharing that with me. I had the possibility of seeing this 35 millimeter version of GoldenEye as well, and I have to say, really, it's really something. I mean, it's great to look at it with added more grit to it, and more sharper contrasts, more accentuated contrasts. It really looks nice. And I mean, in this episode, we're kind of talking about behind the scenes anyway. And I was wondering about another thing that I'd like to introduce now. And I would like to put this question to you is that there's a couple of famous cut scenes, so scenes that are not in the movie. And if you watch them in these extended DVDs, you always see Martin Campbell like doing introduction words. Mostly he explains that because of pacing they had to go. But there are the examples like in the beginning, where you see those two guards in front of or next to the dam, and how actually Bond kind of does a maneuver so he can outsmart them and put the button so the gate opens, and then that's where the movie now starts. You have the scene with Zukovsky and the gun runner. You have the scene with Oromov and Boris on board of the train, where Oromov stops Boris from hacking or testing, as he calls it. When you think about back at those scenes, how do you feel about them? Do you feel they're missing in the movie, or is it good they went, or would you like to have kept one of those? Or
well, for the sake of pacing, Martin Campbell's decision was right. But I'm a completionist, so I remember that one time when I got my hands on a really, really good copy of Titanic, 1997 by James Cameron, and the deleted scenes in a very decent HD 1080p quality, and I edited them all back into the film because they were not taken out because of pacing. They were just taken out because the film would have been longer and longer and longer and longer. And Titanic is already a very long film. I mean, if you cut the first hour, which is basically unnecessary. I always said the first hour is for women, and the other is for everybody who likes drama and disasters. Yeah.
Well, you know what's funny? That's what my mother always said about the movie Pearl Harbor that you talked about before. The first hour is it's just romantic and a thing, and after that it's just explosions. The first half is for women, the second half for men. Yeah.
See, but that is audience perception. That is what it is, and I put all these scenes back in, and I had a screening here at my home at the 100th anniversary of the sinking in 2012, and we watched this whole thing. It was over 3 hours, and Titanic is like 240 or something in the final, in the US print cinema runtime, and when you add all of these back in, you go to 3 hours and 15 or something. So there's 30 to 45 minutes of deleted scenes in decent quality, and with GoldenEye I always wanted to do it. I wanted to put them back in. I don't think they distract or they destroy the pacing, but also they add very little.
Yeah.
Except the dam scene, the deleted dam scene. Because I always asked you, why is there a gate that opens? How does it open? Who pushed the button to open it? And in the game GoldenEye, in the N64 game, we see a lot more of the dam, and we get an idea of how this was done, although everything there was different. But this scene shows Bond approaching the gate and sneaking past the guards, and it was just such a stereotypical representation of Russian soldiers guarding something. Maybe it was too silly or something, but it's a good idea. We should do that. We should edit it together, look at it, and see if our feeling changes or if the scene as is good enough. I like it as it is.
I'm inclined to agree with you because I think, again, this perception thing, like what you just said, you ask yourself a couple of times, what happens before this gate opens? I never even thought about that. It's just opens, an agent runs through. That's good enough for me. But then again, I agree with your take on if you take the scene with Zukovsky being kind of very down-putting and cold towards this Pakistani gun runner. Martin Campbell explained that it was meant to establish Zukovsky's character like this corrupt sleazebag kind of guy, but I think they did enough of that already with what's in the movie. So I agree with you. It doesn't add much. It's a very fun scene. I love that it exists, but it doesn't have to be in the movie, absolutely. And this little scene between Grishenko and Oromov, again, yeah, I agree with you. It doesn't add a lot. It's a fun scene. Again, it's really funny. I mean, it makes me chuckle every time. But yeah, it's not missing really. Yeah.
No. But at some point you arrive at these questions. How did the gate open? And even more drastically, where do all the people park and live who work in Blofeld's volcano?
Yeah.
Where? I mean, huh? It's just like you go there every morning because you're a volcano worker for Blofeld, but nobody can know because it's super secret. But still, either you have to live there without a family, so you have to be an unmarried, childless, mindless worker of Blofeld who just lives there, but where are all the apartments? And if not, well, you have to go there in the morning and clock in, and you have to park your car somewhere.
But
legitimate question.
Yeah, sure. You could say the same about the warfare facility. I mean, if you look at the exterior shots, there are no trucks transporting these nerve gas canisters. How would they get somewhere they need to be? I mean, they can't be all transported by a plane. That would be much. Where do they park all the scientists and stuff? It's not there.
Yeah, all the scientists. Yeah, of course. Yeah, maybe they live there. Maybe it goes down.
Yeah,
a long way.
Yeah.
And then back up again and down again. This is a quite peculiar mountain range.
that's absolutely. Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, it's these things that bring us together, that make us analyze these films. And I must say, I really enjoyed getting together with you every other evening and recording.
Likewise.
These episode specials for the 30th anniversary, and I think we covered pretty much all of it. Everything that's left now is tomorrow's Sunday, the final day. Last week we premiered the first episode, A New Era, and tomorrow on Sunday we're going to close it with a look at the cultural impact that GoldenEye had on the world, which will of course include the games. GoldenEye for Nintendo 64, GoldenEye Reloaded, and also the others for the N64 we can speak about. The word is not enough.
Sure. Yeah.
And a few times where I've seen GoldenEye in other films. That's going to be interesting.
Oh, yes.
And I heard we also have some guest messages to play in that final episode of the GoldenEye anniversary week. As usual, Yannick, thank you very much for...
Thank you, it was a lot of fun.
...doing this horrendously long things with me.
No. I enjoyed it too.
Yeah. I know. And it's very, very difficult to find these humorous bits in a 1 hour, 30 or 40 stream. But, yeah.
But you managed anyway. Yeah,
I'm glad that we are on YouTube forever, and everybody who loves and hates us can watch us whenever they like. And I hope everybody of you enjoyed it as much as we did making it. What's the next film that has an anniversary? One of the Brosnans?
Tomorrow Never Dies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2027. So
Oh, there's also a lot to talk about.
in
Yeah.
2 years, you know, we're doing all of this again. Yeah, a whole week and 8 hours of analysis. I really love
Yeah.
Tomorrow Never Dies.
Oh, me too. And whilst GoldenEye was quite Switzerland heavy, at least for the opening, of course, Tomorrow Never Dies will be your field day,
Yeah.
because a lot was shot in Germany, and of course, well, maybe we'll get to visit some places and show it on location.
Yes. And our plan is still to go to France. To a certain Altiport. Which is difficult to get to, but of course I have a plane, so that's not a problem.
Yeah, well, why worry?
Yeah. It's just who's gonna land that damn thing
Yeah.
on that? I can't land on small airports. I'm shit at landing
Okay.
my own plane.
Unfortunately, that's the most essential thing, but okay.
No, the most essential thing is takeoff. That is as difficult as it gets.
Yeah, but when you can't take off, at least nothing can happen. But when you can't calm down properly,
You always come down.
yeah, sure.
Yeah, maybe
Hey, that's
10
such
meters next to it.
That's such a typical German saying. Runter kommen Sie immer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they always come down. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you learned in this 4 episode strong birthday special. You learned a bit of Russian, a bit of French, and a bit of German.
Yeah.
What more do you expect from us? So we are multicultural, and I really like that.
Educational TV.
Yeah. And I looked at your face while editing when I did the French introduction. And I can't see it most of the time what Yannick does, because I'm always looking straight into the camera. But I see it in editing. The minute I start to speak a foreign language, he starts laughing. Such an insulting thing to do.
But I can always tell you, my parents had to suffer through that. My coworker has to suffer through that all the time, and I really give him a hard time. But it's just I can't control it. It's like an impulse. When people around me talk foreign languages, I just can't help but just lose it. I don't know what it is. Must be some sort of gene deficiency, or I don't know what.
Well, could be. But for me, it's intense fun. So
Yeah, likewise.
I like it. All right. On that notion, thank you very much for watching. As I said, there will be a final episode coming tomorrow evening at 8 o'clock. We would love you to be there to celebrate GoldenEye with us one last time for this week. And otherwise, leave a like and subscribe. Watch the other episodes if you haven't already. And we wish you a very pleasant drive in St. Petersburg.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.